channel is based on two themes: music and aviation. For 2 days in a row, I posted music videos playing some rock music, and then and I thank you. I thank you for watching, because you have been watching. And but today I'm going to speak. I'm going to talk about airplanes. And last time I talked about the properties of the atmosphere that influence the behaviors of some of the aerodynamic forces that act on an aircraft in flight. And those properties they were of the atmosphere. They are just some of them. They are the static pressure of the air, its temperature, its density, and viscosity. And then that to me, that's these properties of the air are the most important when it comes to the influences on the behavior of weight, lift, thrust, and drag. Those four forces that are acting on an airplane in flight. But one thing that we know, those properties of the atmosphere, they don't act the same way all over the world. And you know that the airplanes, they fly, especially the commercial aircraft, they fly internationally. So when they leave one atmosphere of a specific country and to go to another atmosphere, the aircraft may be exposed to different actions and reactions of the forces, of the four forces that are acting on the aircraft, because the properties of a country atmosphere don't behave the same as the properties of a different country's atmosphere. So, and you don't want to subject the airplane to that kind of uncertainty, to that kind of aerodynamic uncertainties. The airplanes, they don't like that. The aircraft, they have, when they fly, they don't like any kind of unexpected behaviors from those forces which are influenced by by the which are influenced by the properties of the air, by the properties of the atmosphere, which are different, you know, in all over in countries all over the world. So for that reason, for that reason, well, not only. So let me put it another way. One of the reasons that we have an organization called Icao, which stands for International Civil Aviation Organization. One of the reason is that, you know, scenario, the atmosphere, the different behaviors of the properties of the atmosphere in different parts of the world. So in order to, because believe it or not, the performance of an aircraft, you know, the performance of an aircraft depends largely on the properties of the atmosphere, on the properties of the air. Okay, so if the aircraft leaves the United States and go to Europe, for example, you bet is going to be subjected to different properties in the atmosphere. So, and the aircraft, they don't like that. They might behave totally. They might behave totally in different ways because of that aerodynamic uncertainties. They just got, you know, they just got they just got themselves in. When the aircraft flying, they don't like aerodynamic uncertainties. So this is why, to return to the Icao, which is the International Civil Aviation Organization, founded on April 4th, 1947, which gives it 73 years this year. That organization, the Icao, is 73 years old this year. And by the way, it is low. Its headquarters is located in Montreal, Canada. Okay, I think it's Quebec, Montreal, Canada. That's where the headquarters of the Icao is located. So this organization, what they want to do, their objective is to promote international civil aviation safety, security, and efficiency. Okay, so for that they created some sort of something called standard atmosphere. So an atmosphere that wherever, whatever country an aircraft find itself in, well, if they abide by the standard atmosphere table, so there should not be any kind of unexpected behavior of the aerodynamic forces on which are influenced greatly by the properties of the atmosphere. So instead of having a general atmosphere for the entire world, the Icao, provided a set of standard conditions, a set of atmosphere, a set of atmosphere conditions, standard, let me put it this way, a set of standard atmosphere conditions for the aircraft to adopt and implement in order to provide a safe sky for everyone in the world. So that way, if an aircraft flies from the United States to Europe, so it should be that aircraft should be, if the pilot follows, the standard atmosphere table, which is defined and published by Icao. So that will minimize any adverse effects, any adverse aerodynamic effects on the aircraft. So well, just like I mentioned, that there's a table that the pilot needs to rely on in order to know what is standard what is standard altitude, what is the table. There are several columns on the table which in which there are standard day density, got density ratio, pressure ratio, temperature ratio, speed of sound, okay, at different altitudes, okay. There's when, let's say for example, well, let me put it another way, okay. I say there's a standard atmosphere table that the pilot follows, okay, in order to know, for example, what is standard day density, what is the density ratio, what is the pressure ratio, what is the temperature ratio, what is the speed of sound at various altitudes, at different altitudes, which on the standard atmosphere table are the same anywhere in the world. Okay, that's it. That's just not the regular, not the general atmosphere. This is the standard atmosphere, you know, outlined by Icao for all aircraft to follow. But but one thing that I can say that uh, there are two types of altitude that are of interest for to the pilot. Let me repeat. There are two types of altitude that are of interest to the pilot, and they are pressure altitude and density altitude. Pressure altitude and density altitude. Okay, these are standard. I'm talking about pressure altitude. I'm talking about standard atmosphere pressure altitude and standard atmosphere density altitude. Okay, so what is pressure altitude? Okay, all right. The pressure altitude, according to standard atmosphere regulate. Well, I would not say. Well, I say it anyway. According to standard atmosphere setup, this the pressure altitude is that altitude. Okay, is that altitude corresponding to a certain static pressure. Okay, there's when the aircraft is flying, for every specific altitude, in feet, okay, 20,000 feet, 60,000 feet, 41,000 feet, 20, whatever altitude, there's a static pressure for that specific altitude. Okay, and which may not be the same for every country in the world. That's why Icao, developed that's the standard table, okay, for the industry to follow. So that altitude I'm talking about, which is the pressure altitude, is that altitude corresponding to a certain static pressure. Okay, so because this is not the same as the standard sea level static pressure. So what the pilot does at certain altitude, what he does, he let's say the pilot is at a certain altitude, and then the static pressure, and then it then the pilot knows that at that altitude there's a static pressure of maybe, let's say, 10 excuse me, 1000, no, well, let's say 11, 1120 1120 PSF. 1120 PSF. You know, PSF stand for pound per square inch. That's the altitude, that's the static pressure that the pilot sees at the specific altitude. So let's say it's 1120 PSF. But now there's, what about but we have to remember there is also the standard static pressure at sea level, which is 2116 PSF, which is pound per square foot. Okay, so PSF, if I misstated earlier, PSF stands for pound per square foot. Okay, so now what the pilot does in this case, he takes it, he or she takes that certain static pressure at that altitude, then he divided it, he or she divides, okay, that altitude, that the static pressure, by sea level standard static pressure of 2160 PSF, and then he or she gets a pressure ratio. Okay, so the number that I think I mentioned, as an example, I gave 1120 PSF at that altitude, and you divide it by standard sea level static pressure, which is 2116 pound per square foot. That gives you a ratio, and what the pilot does, he or she check the standard atmosphere table, and then that the result he or she gets from that division, he look to find the number in the pressure ratio column on the standard atmosphere table, and to that pressure ratio there's a related altitude. Okay, so that altitude is the pressure altitude. There is a standard atmosphere pressure altitude. So I hope you understand. And that standard pressure altitude was found after the pilot divided, well, I can call that ambient static pressure, okay, to sea level standard static pressure, and the ratio should be on the atmosphere standard table, and then across, okay, when the pilot finds that ratio in that pressure ratio column and goes to the left on the table, there's an altitude that corresponds to that pressure ratio, and that altitude is called pressure altitude. That's pressure altitude. That's the standard atmosphere pressure altitude for different parts of the world. And it's the same thing, it's the same procedure for density altitude. Okay, same thing. You know, there's a at certain altitude there's a density number. Okay, then sea level there's density. There's a standard density, value at sea level, and you divide the ambient density value by sea level standard density, and you get a ratio. Not you, the pilot, but if you're a pilot, yes. Then you go and you look on the standard atmosphere table, and you look for your number for the density ratio. If you find it, and you go across to the left, and you should see the density altitude. Okay, density altitude is very important to the aircraft, because it actually, I would say that density I would say that density altitude influences aircraft performances more than any other properties in the atmosphere. Okay, so that's the reason why aircraft performance. There's the reason why aircraft performance charts are provided to the pilots for different density altitudes. Okay, so I just wanted to talk about the difference between the regular atmosphere that is the same all over the world, but also the let me rephrase that. I just wanted to talk about the differences between the regular atmosphere that is the same all over the world, and the standard atmosphere that is provided by Icao in order to promote safety, to promote safety by developing developing standard procedures for the aviation industry to follow in order to make the flying sky more friendly and safer. Yeah, I think that's and also one of the goals of the Icao is to promote the growth of the aviation industry all around the world. So I hope you understand the difference between the standard atmosphere, which has a table to follow, and the regular atmosphere, you know, in the regular of the entire world. So from now on, if you every time you hear standard day, standard climate, standard temperature, standard altitude, they're talking about that the standard procedures developed and distributed by that by Icao, International Civil Aviation Organization. So, okay, next time we'll see. I will go over some really good stuff. I'm going to talk about next time. I probably will be talking about stuff like the pressure. I'll probably talk about pressure. You know, I will be I probably I will be talking about uh, constant airflow, stuff like that. Uh, Pressurized air, you know, pressurized air. Uh, we're gonna go very deep in the subject of flight theory and aerodynamics. So sit back, relax, and fasten your seatbelt. Stay safe out there. Okay, bye.